I'm Olivia Mason, and I'm the Clinical Director for the Carpenter Shed.
My name is Josh Hudnall, and I'm one of the founders of the Carpenter Shed. We're here to give you an overview of the Carpenter Shed program. The Carpenter Shed is a 24-week program with 4 distinct phases, but I like to look at it as 2 distinct halves. The first 2 phases focusing more on stabilization. The second half of our program is all about transitioning to adulthood. Phase 1, reset. We're helping the young boy become stabilized and sober. Many of these kids are struggling with substance abuse, technology abuse, isolation bullying, defiant behavior, or some of these kids just struggle with a failure to launch.
Our clinical approach in phase 1 is also all about resetting. So at this point, they'll have 2 individual sessions a week, around 10 groups per week, a life coaching session every week. Again, the goal of that is for them to be able to reset, rewire, us get to know them get to know us, so that we can best set them up for success as they walk through the program. We also want to help support the families as they're resetting as well. We give them a support call. We have our family therapist that's going to be in contact with them weekly, either through a family call with a therapist, articles, videos, resources, podcasts, education. So they'll be receiving that as well to help them succeed and reset their family system.
The goal of phase 1, after they become stabilized and sober, is to have developed healthy habits and routines that will really prepare them for phase 2 of our program. Phase 2 is our rebuild phase. When a young man becomes stable and has developed healthy habits in his life, they start to think about what their future will look like. Phase 2 is about creating vision and to helping a young man take ownership of his life.
So with phase 2, clinically, we are still going to be working with them really closely. So they're going to continue 2 individual therapy sessions a week, a life coaching session per week, but we're going to bring it down to about 6 groups per week to really encourage them becoming an individual, them taking accountability and ownership over themselves. With our families, we're going to continue supporting them very similar to phase 1. So we're going to have our weekly family calls, family support, continuing education for them to start thinking, how do we want to build our family system differently than it's been before?
At the end of phase 2, the young men have begun to take ownership of the future they've created for themselves. Before they can move on to phase 3, we allow our young men to go through a rite of passage. At the end of phase 2, the young man will have an opportunity to embark upon the passage, which signifies crossing over from a young boy into a young man. Years ago, men would create a rite of passage for these young boys so that they would have an opportunity to cross over into what it meant to be a young man. Phase 3, redefine. The young man has begun to take ownership of the vision he's created for his life. In this phase, we want to reintroduce the tools that he's going to need to live that independent life. This is our longest phase, and there's reason for that, because it takes time to develop confidence and also the tool set you need to live a transformative life.
With that piece, clinically, we start seeing them 1 time a week individually, once for a group, and then they continue that life coaching session every week. We really want to see them starting to define what they've learned in phase 1 and phase 2 and practically living that out in phase 3. We're really going to encourage them to become their own individual, taking ownership and taking accountability. With our families, we're going to continue to support them all throughout this phase as well. At this point, we will be reintegrating the boy into those family calls with the therapist in order for the family system to take what they've built and actually start defining what that's going to look like for them practically as they move forward.
And at the end of phase 3, the young man has been given time to really redefine his life. At this point, this gives the family a lot of confidence that their son has what it takes to live a transformative life. Phase 4 is renew. With a renewed sense of purpose, meaning, and direction for the young man's life, they begin to really establish what that future looks like. They start to work with our team, preparing for their launch back into the real world.
At this point, we'll still be seeing the young man 1 time a week for therapy. They'll still have 1 group per week and continue that life coaching that they've been doing all throughout the program. We really want to encourage them to live out this new purpose that they have for themselves and really live as this new individual young man in the world. Families are really going to start practicing that new family system that they've been working on throughout all of the phases.
At the end of phase 4, the young man is completely transformed from the first day he walked into our program as a young boy. The men are stronger physically, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. That's why myself and my team take great pride in seeing them go through the transformation process. And as a parent, the one thing we want for all our boys is to see our sons become great men.